Welcome to registration of post-secondary or tertiary education and training providers. My name is Shonelle Lynch and I'm a Quality Assurance Officer at the Barbados Accreditation Council. Today I'm inviting you to join me as I explain the registration process with the Barbados Accreditation Council. I'm going to discuss the what, why, and how of registration with the Council. Now, what is registration? Registration provides a general overview of the operations and the educational offerings of a provider. It also signals that an educational provider has met the minimum standards required to deliver post-secondary or tertiary education and training in Barbados. These standards are based on the Council's general registration criteria, which is outlined in the Council's registration guidelines. The general registration criteria is as follows: governance and mission, admission policies, educational programs, staffing and professional development, learner assessment, learner support services, physical plant and equipment, learning and information services, laboratory facilities, finances, as well as institutional plan. I will briefly explain the general registration criteria. You will notice when you look at our registration guidelines that for each criterion, there are a number of indicators. For instance, governance and mission. We have indicators from A to D. Each indicator represents what the Council expects you to submit when you submit your application form and the documentation required for registration. So you're going to look at the indicators, you're going to ask yourself, okay, have I submitted documentation that meets this indicator? And you will check off as you go through. And they're numbered 1 to 11, governance and mission, admission policies, etc. So as you review the general registration criteria, please take note of the indicators for each criterion statement. Now, why is registration necessary? Why would you as an educational provider want to be registered with the Barbados Accreditation Council? Firstly, it indicates that you as a provider is authorized to legally operate in Barbados. It also reflects your commitment to pursue quality education and training. It also provides a means through which students and the general public can identify registered providers. It also provides a mechanism through which providers may proceed towards accreditation, which is another service offered by the Barbados Accreditation Council, but you must be registered first. Now, I have spoken about the what and the why of registration, which brings us to the how to register. Now, how are you going to register with the Barbados Accreditation Council? You will need at least 2 documents, which is the Council's registration guidelines, as well as the application form. These documents can be downloaded from our website, or you can call and request that they're emailed to you, or you can visit us and collect them as well. Which brings me to how to register with the Barbados Accreditation Council. To register with us, you will need the registration guidelines as well as the application form for registration. Now, I'm going to take a closer look into the application form. You will notice that the application form is divided into a number of sections. When you are about to complete the application form, go back to the registration criteria to look and see what is required. Remembering that each indicator listed under that criterion, you're supposed to provide the information for that. For instance, section A is governance and mission. So like the name of the provider, the address of the provider, who is authorized, who is the authorizing officer, And at the bottom of that section, you will see you're required to also indicate the date the first students were enrolled, as well as the date the first students graduated. We expect that you will have a vision statement, so that information must be provided. If it cannot fit into the space provided on the application form, we have a little note here attached separately if necessary. So you can print the document and attach it as an appendix. Section B is the admission policies. C, educational programs. Now, if you go to item B, you will notice that there's reference made to a document, Guidelines for Preparing Program Specifications. This document is a template to be used when you're providing any information on the educational programs. Section D, staffing and professional development. So all of your teaching staff or instructors, administrative and technical support staff provide information for these persons. We will expect that you have a staff development policy, given that it's important to ensure that your staff is developed. Section E, learner support services. F, learning and information resources. G, finances. Now this section, finances, you have to provide the financial statements that have been prepared by a certified accountant or audited financial statements, as well as your current fee structure. Section H, physical plant and equipment. I, business or strategic plan. Okay, you have compiled your documentation, you have completed the application form. We encourage you to go back to ensure that the documents that you have provided, the documents and the information that you have outlined on the application form relates to the indicators in the general registration criteria. So you should go through and tick off and say, okay, well, I have provided A, B, C, whatever. When you submit the completed document, application form and supporting evidence, your documents and the application form will be assessed by the Barbados Accreditation Council. After the assessment, it can either be that we require you to provide additional documentation, so we will have that one-on-one meeting with you and discuss what needs to be provided, or we are satisfied that you have met the requirements and registration is granted. Notice what I have indicated here, that the certificate of registration will be issued. However, it will be issued for a specified time, and the period would start from the date the certificate has been signed. I have also indicated here that registration is only granted if requirements are met, and that is very important. Which brings us to the application cost. Now you're wondering, I have gone through this and you're wondering, okay, what do I need to pay? These costs are outlined here and they are based on the enrollment numbers. They're divided into local and foreign institutions. Which brings us to the end of this session. I'm hoping that I provided enough information that you have a relatively clear understanding of our registration process. We encourage you to contact the Council. Telephone us at 535-6740. Send a fax at 622-1089 or send an email at info@bac.gov.bb. So we look forward to receiving your queries, your emails, whether they're by email, telephone, whatever. Please contact us and ask about the registration process. We want you to be recognized and registered in Barbados. We want to see your name listed on the website as a registered provider. Understanding that the students and the general public will call and ask us who is registered with the Barbados Accreditation Council. Thank you very much for joining me.